Let me make a couple of points. First of all, the continuing resolution they put forward in this context is more of the status quo spending that just keeps government growing. We're saying, no, we got to do better than that for the American people. We need to reduce wasteful Washington spending. We need to create jobs in the private sector. We came here to cut back on the deficit and not put a ever-increasing, intolerable, unsustainable, frankly, immoral budget deficit and debt on the next generation, our kids and our grandkids. We did not come here to do that. We came here to cut spend. Not be here today if the Democrats in the last Congress had bothered to take up a budget and pass it or even vote on it. That's the first time since the 1974 Budget Act was put in law that I believe the House didn't consider a budget. It's not that the House and the Senate have always agreed on a budget, but at least they've always voted on a budget. And the Democrats under Speaker Pelosi and my friend from Maryland could not bring or did not bring a budget to the House floor for even consideration in the House. Now, I was in small business for 22 years. I've served on various boards and all. If you failed to bring a budget and pass a budget at a city council, a county commission, a corporation, you'd be tossed out. But in the Congress, well, I guess they did get tossed out in November, but they didn't do a budget. And then you didn't fund the government through the fiscal year we're in today. You only funded it into March, and then it was left on our doorstep when we took the majority to finish. Now, it's not the first time that's happened, and it's happened over time, but we came in and said, okay, we won. We assumed the responsibility to govern. And we passed a continuing resolution to fund the government through the rest of this fiscal year. We would have funded our troops and everything else and cut $61 billion in spending. And that still resides in that august body across the Capitol where they can't seem to act. When that didn't work, we came back with another continuing resolution. Cut $2 billion a week. That resolution was passed in this House, I think with bipartisan support, went to the Senate, was passed there, signed by the President. We continue to negotiate because we're not here to shut down the government. We're here to cut the government spending and get back toward a balanced budget and create jobs in the private sector. When they couldn't get a deal, we passed another continuing resolution. We cut more, another $2 billion a week. We're up to 10 now. That passed this House. It went over to the Senate. It became law. And then when we could get nothing else back from the Senate, yesterday, we brought forward a resolution to make sure our men and women in uniform who are fighting for our freedom across this globe and their families here at home would get paid through the end of this fiscal year. And we also cut spending. We cut the spending we cut in the first resolution that's still residing in the Senate where they can't act. And we sent that over to the Senate where it sits. Now, the first thing we hear from the President, I'm going to veto it. And the Senate says, oh, we can't take that up. Well, why not? We passed it here, and we did so in a bipartisan way. And it's over there. Republicans have acted responsibly to the will of the American people. We have said time and again, we will govern, and we will govern responsibly.